Today's story starts at the battlefield of Jafar in October of 632. While the Muslims were fighting Salma's army under the command of Khalid bin Walid, other events were developing in different parts of Arabia. Musailima was a false prophet who became the most formidable opponent of the Muslims during the Ridda war. He was based in Yamama. In episode 2 of this series, we saw that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu sent Ikrimah near Yamama with an army to keep an eye on Musailima, but not to engage in fighting with him. A few days after Ikrimah's departure, Shurahbil bin Hassana was sent with a contingent of cavalry to follow and join Ikrimah's army and wait for further instruction. Musailima had already gathered a huge fighting force under him, so Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu understood that it would not be a good idea to attack Musailima without proper arrangements. Musailima realized his advantage as well. He thought if he could beat the Muslim army before gathering more troops, it would make his false claim of prophethood even stronger. So he marched out with his army towards the Muslim camp and provoked the Muslims to fight. Now, according to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's command, Ikrimah should have stepped back and avoided the fighting. But Ikrimah fell to the desire for military glory. He decided to fight. So also in October of 632, the Muslim army under Ikrimah's command and the apostate army under Musailima's command came face to face. The Muslims were vastly outnumbered. So once the fighting began, the Muslims got thrashed in the hands of apostates. Ikrimah had to order a retreat. And this was a major blow for Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's plan. Musailima became the strongest leader of the apostates. In the meantime, immediately after the battle of Jafar, Khalid decided to march to Buta. The local clan of Buta was Bani Tamim. Their leader, Malik bin Nuwayra, refused to pay zakat to Medina after the death of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He also gathered an army and attacked some smaller tribes in the region to establish his dominion. So Khalid thought it would be the best time to bring the tribe under control. However, this was not mentioned explicitly in Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's command given to Khalid. So when Khalid explained his plan for Buta, a good portion of Muslim troops refused to march with him. They opined that the army should stay where they were and wait for more instructions from Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. However, Khalid was under the opinion that they should advance without any delay so that the enemy would have less time for preparation. So there was kind of a split among Khalid's troops.